number 2, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame class of 2021 has been announced. One of the most diverse classes in the history of the hall will be inducted Saturday, October 30th. I think it's the 31st, and I mistyped that. In Cleveland, Ohio, the requirement for induction is that the first release from the artist must be 25 years prior to the induction year. Carole King, Jay-Z, the Foo Fighters, the Go-Go's, Tina Turner, LL Cool J, Randy Rhodes, Billy Preston, Kraftwerk, among others, will be inducted. It is worth noting that Warren, Ohio native Dave Grohl will now be a second-time member of the hall with the Foo Fighters, as well as being the drummer for Nirvana.
It's kind of crazy when you just like read, you're like Carole King and then Jay-Z. I was surprised Carole King actually wasn't in earlier.
Or Tina Turner.
Yeah, and Tina Turner.
I mean,
yeah, Tina Turner is like, that's pretty crazy to me. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's like always kind of weird to me every year. Always like, I can't believe this person wasn't in earlier. I mean, and they always put so many people in, so I don't even know. I actually don't know how like they put people in. I don't disagree with anybody that have been here. I mean, I would, for the most part, I'm actually like surprised the older groups / people weren't in earlier. But I think the biggest name on this list to me would be, Jay-Z and Foo Fighters personally. Sure. So that's cool.
I just don't understand how that they can like, I'm not arguing that they shouldn't be in some type of Hall of Fame, right? But calling it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but then also including like Tina Turner and Jay-Z is weird to me. Because they're not rock and roll. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Call it the Music Hall of Fame. I don't have a problem with it. And it's just devil's advocate, you know what I mean? Because like they're all very deserving of being honored in some way in some Hall of Fame somewhere. You know what I mean? But to call it the Rock and Roll, like I always have a problem with that. It's like, oh, it's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Well, who's in it? It's like Madonna. Like she's not rock.
I almost look at it is when you think of like the way rock and roll started is like Elvis was rock and roll.
Sure, right.
And then the Beatles were rock and roll.
Yeah.
Led Zeppelin. And so like the way that rock and roll has evolved over the years, to call it the Music Hall of Fame, I almost think they don't call it that because it just sounds so boring.
Yeah.
And rock and roll just sounds cooler at the end of the day.
There's nothing about Jay-Z that's rock and roll unless it's rolling crack rocks down the street.
Right. Didn't he do the Linkin Park mix?
That's fair.
But yeah, right. I mean,
I forgot about that. I think Jay-Z probably wants to forget about that.
Maybe I remember that being like very I think I listened to it
very popular at the time.
Yeah. But the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to me is almost like the Basketball Hall of Fame, though. It's like everybody eventually gets in it. Yeah. Everybody eventually gets in.
Yeah.
Whether they, I guess, deserve it or not.
We're looking at you, Tracy McGrady.
Wow.
Make it out of the first round of the playoffs. That should be a requirement to get into the Basketball Hall of Fame.
There should be something. There should be a requirement.
That's the thing is like baseball, super exclusive,
super hard
to get in.
Yeah.
There's definitely guys that are not in the Baseball Hall of Fame that should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
The steroid era, you know what I mean? Like that's a whole nother topic for another day, but NFL still pretty exclusive.
Yeah.
Mostly if you were a primetime player, you're getting in. The NBA, it's like,
well, it's not just the NBA; it's the Basketball Hall of Fame. So it's like literally, if you're associated with basketball at all, it's like you're in.
It should be like it's just like the Hall of like pretty good,
right?
You know what I mean?
Well, it's like Bill Simmons had like the tier in his book,
and
like there should be different tiers at the Basketball Hall of Fame, and I 100% agree. Like,
sure.
It's just weird to me. Like when you say that, it's like Michael Jordan and Tracy McGrady are in the exact same Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Like, and not that we're not trying. I'm just saying that's a good example. Like somebody that won 6 times out of 6, and then also Tracy McGrady,
good
basketball player,
great
really score. Yeah.
Yep. Never made it out of the first round.
Same place as Michael Jordan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anybody in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame do you think should be in that meets requirements? Because I thought I can't think of anyone.
I've never been there, and it's
really I haven't either.
It's only an hour and a half away, and we've talked about going there loads of times. We just never do. I don't know. I think that like, is Green Day in?
I think so.
I feel
Yeah, I
like
think they got in
that would be
2 or 3 years
that's
ago.
like, because now it's like the 25-year thing. You're looking at people who like were like mid 90s, you know what I mean? Limp Bizkit, probably. They should have their own wing.
Are they 25 years yet? They're close.
They're close. They did
Is
it
there
all for the
anybody in the
nookie.
last 10 years that you think like 15 years down the road we think will be in?
Well, since it's a not really rock and roll thing, it could be any music thing. I mean, Kendrick for sure. Kendrick Lamar, from hip hop. Kanye. I think those are locks. In terms of like rock music, I don't listen to, like, there's not a, like the Strokes, I guess.
That was gonna be my thing. Like the Strokes will probably get in.
Yeah, it's like, it's weird. Like rock music anymore is weird. I mean, Timberlake's a lock.
Mm-hmm.
He might be
Lady
a double,
Gaga.
He might be a double lock with NSYNC.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe. I mean, but he's definitely in on his own.
Right.
Britney is probably a lock.
Should be.
She's probably a few more years away.
1999, so 2024.
24. Other than that, like, I can't, like, off the top of my head, I mean, you could get into like some of the metal stuff, like the argument could probably be made for like Slipknot.
Mastodon.
Maybe not so much Mastodon.
My old workout.
I'm trying to think of like Incubus definitely.
Oh yeah, Incubus
is definitely, if they should be in, if they're not already. I'm not sure if they're in the 25-year.
I don't think they're in the 25 yet. They're close,
man. I think that some of the early, like Blink 182 maybe.
Oh yeah, Blink would be fun just to see if all three guys actually show up together.
I'm looking up. Are you looking it up? I'm looking it up. Incubus first album.
Yeah.
First album. Incubus's first album was Fungus Among Us.
They've been literally active since 1991, but
yeah, Fungus Among Us was 1995, so they're good to go.
Oh, so they are good to go.
Yeah. There's I'm trying to think of what's on there. Not a lot of great stuff, but that's not really what matters. It's everything after that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, I don't really, Kid Rock.
My name is Kid.
Oh boy.
All right.
Like, what a world that we live in, that we went from Kid Rock singing, Cowboy and Ball with the Ball to doing duets with Sheryl Crow.
That is
what
crazy.
A world we live in.
What a world.